Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. It's been a good day. It's been a good day. The new press secretary is pretty badass. How many people watched the first new press briefing with the new press secretary? Her name is Caroline Leavitt. She was fantastic. I watched it and I thought she handled herself excellently. I don't envy anyone in that position. The ability to sit and deal with the press and not fall for their tricks and their tactics to try to trip them up. And I was impressed. I think she did a fantastic job. She was in, she handled and answered their questions. You're not used to that. It's been 4 years of dealing with circle back, and I'm going to have to get back to you on that. Granted, she did say that a couple times, but I think it's okay when you don't know the answer to the question. I believe she was asked about withdrawing funds, federal funds. Trump was doing that, and everyone was asking about what are individuals going to be a hit. She made it very clear that that was not the case. And she was asked about Medicaid or Medicare. She said, I'll have to get back to you on that. I don't remember the specific question, though. But there was a few things that I want to talk about of what she was asked. And she made a statement, before I even get into the question, she made a statement that I found very interesting. She said, the president has informed me to inform all of you about the drones in New Jersey. And her answer was so... Here's the answer. Don't ask any more questions. You know what I mean? I've been paying attention to the UFO side of the world because of Forbidden Frontier. Not necessarily because I enjoy that side of the whole Forbidden Frontier, which is an apt way to call it. I just do it because of the show, right? And I know Gary's super into it, and of course, I mean, Garrett's kind of like me. You know, he's just... He researches it. I don't know if he's as into it as Gary is. Gary's certainly really into Forbidden Front or the UFO side of things. But we talked about that. You know, we discussed the drones. There was that guy who blew himself up or shot himself in front of the Trump Tower with the Cybertruck, that thing. You know, there was that whole thing about him claiming that it was Chinese drones. But now Trump has come out and said, well, through Caroline Leavitt, that they were FAA approved and that citizens were flying their drones to try to get better shots of the other drones, which caused more people to come out with more drones, and it caused more confusion, and that's all it was. And it's like, that feels like they don't want us to look into it more, which makes me even more curious about the drones. I want to know more about them now because I feel like they're now hiding something. Am I wrong with that kind of thought? I just feel like they're... You didn't like that answer? Exactly. Neither did I, Iron Man. There was something about it that made me more uncomfortable and more untrustworthy of everything she was saying. The entire press briefing was fantastic. I really liked how quick she didn't have to sit and think about something. She had a quick response, and it was oftentimes I was sitting in my chair just going, "Oh, yeah, get him!" There was one moment I stopped and recorded it so I could post it on X because I found it so satisfying. Let me play this clip for you. It was the girl who interviewed Trump recently, or at least I actually don't recall when it was, but it was sometime in the past. She kind of looks like a dude. She kind of looks like a dude who transitioned. She works for like CNN or something. I don't recall. And she interviewed Trump recently. I think it was I remember her being in like the news cycle. Like everyone was talking about how she got absolutely dunked on. And I don't recall exactly why. Let me share this real quick and you guys can see who I'm talking about. Okay. Here she is. This is Carolyn Levitt, if you missed her.
Caroline on immigration. Of the 3,500.
This girl, I don't remember her name. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Never mind. This is the girl I'm thinking of. This girl on the left. She was asking some pointed questions later on or earlier. I don't remember exactly when, but this question is asked by this woman in the middle here.
Arrests ICE has made.
Let me start over.
Caroline on immigration. Of the 3,500 arrests ICE has made so far since President Trump came back into office, can you just tell us the numbers? How many have a criminal record versus those who are just in the country illegally?
I love the question. The question is hilarious. How many of those have a criminal record versus those who are here illegally? There's something so silly about that, right? But her response is just
all of them, because they illegally broke our nation's laws and therefore they are criminals as far as this administration goes. I know.
I legitimately laughed out loud when I heard that response. All of them. How many of them are actually criminals? Or how many of them have a criminal record? All of them. They came here illegally. Therefore, they're illegal and they broke the law, thus having a criminal record. Now, she could have asked how many of them have a previously committed crimes, a record of prior crimes before coming here illegally. That would have been the better way of asking the question. But she didn't ask that. She said, of all the people that are here illegally, how many of them have a criminal record? So it was kind of like you set her up perfectly for this amazing answer, but she didn't stop. She continued.
I know the last administration didn't see it that way, so it's a big culture shift in our nation to view someone who breaks our immigration laws as a criminal, but that's exactly what they are.
I know it's a culture shift that you leftist media aren't prepared for or used to, because this administration treats criminals as criminals. It's just... it's so satisfying. And honestly, I highly suggest you go and watch the entire press briefing. It's only about 30 minutes, maybe 40 minutes. I'm not sure exactly the time, but it really, really was just perfectly done. She handled herself really well. She reiterated a lot of what Trump has done in the past week. He's been president for a week and he signed over 300, well, not executive orders, but has done over 300 executive actions, including executive orders, pardons, and other things that, and I guess has brought in over $1 trillion of investment into America, which, I mean, it's just capital W winning. All right. Just a massive capital W just coming out of the White House right now. Like, it was a lowercase White House. It is now a capital, bold lettered White House now. I love this. I love it. It is so satisfying. I have half a mind to just watch it again with you guys. Do you want to watch it? We'll watch it if you guys want. I'm down to watch it again, and I'll pause and add to it if you want. Are you guys interested? Oh, I didn't even see that you can see my screen. Let me get that out of the way. There we go. Sorry about that. Juan, big W, sure, why not? Sure, hell yeah. Okay, let's do it. Fine. Okay, let's do it. I'm down. Let me pull up some of the tube. Little tube action. Let's watch it. It is very satisfying. The first bit is really just her laying it out.
Trump is all of you. Are we? Good to see all of you. It's an honor to be here with all of you. A lot of familiar faces in the room, a lot of new faces. And President Trump is back, and the golden age of America has most definitely begun. The Senate has already confirmed 5 of President Trump's exceptional cabinet nominees: Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, CIA Director John Ratcliffe.
John Radcliffe, was he the DNI in 2020? John Radcliffe, right? I feel like he was pretty good, right? Did anybody know much about him? Because I feel like the director of the CIA is kind of an important job right now, right? Trump needs to have someone there that he absolutely trusts, because it's the CIA, right? If he's actually going to be making some changes, having them under control, which, let's be real, even if there's a new head of the CIA, you know that there's going to be compartments under, like, within the CIA that no one even knows or can even get a hold of, you know? I thought they were going to get rid of it. Look, if they're getting rid of the CIA, it's best to put someone in charge of it so that they can actually get rid of it. If you know what I mean. Like, actually get rid of it. Not just say, okay, it's done, and then have some hidden thing. Because, well, all right, let me free thought, right? If we did go to the Middle East for control over the opium trade on the planet, I don't know if it's true or not, right? But the opium fields, they claim there's rumors that that's one of the reasons, and the CIA was controlling it. The drug trade. CIA made a lot of dark money. Maybe CIA doesn't need federal money anymore, and maybe they can operate on their own, right? So if that's true, just dismantling the CIA is only going to just fracture the people that control that system to basically move on to their own and be their own dark entity. I don't know how strong they are, but I can imagine if they have the power to assassinate a sitting president 70 years ago or 60 years ago, then their power has only grown since then, I'm sure, right? It wouldn't surprise me if there's a lot of people that we would know their names that are involved, and I'm certain that there's way more people that we don't know their names that are involved. So I think it's a delicate situation that you can't just be like, the CIA doesn't exist anymore. I think that you need someone that you can trust to then run it for like a year as they figure how embedded everything is, how bad everything has been corrupted or corroded. Do you know what I mean? So it's tough. It's a tough situation that you got to be very careful with.
Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem and Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. It is imperative that the Senate continues to confirm the remainder of the president's well-qualified nominees as quickly as possible. As you have seen during the past week, President Trump is hard at work fulfilling the promises that he made to the American people on the campaign trail.
Yes, he is.
Since taking the oath of office, President Trump has taken more than 300 executive actions, secured nearly $1 trillion in U.S. investments, deported illegal alien rapists, gang members, and suspected terrorists from our homeland, and restored common sense to the federal government.
Thank goodness.
I want to take a moment to go through some of these extraordinary actions.
Break it down, girl.
On day one, President Trump declared a national emergency at our southern border to end the 4-year-long invasion of illegal aliens under the previous administration.
It's done.
Additionally,
it's done.
President Trump signed an executive...
I saw a CNN yesterday. We watched the people freaking out or stupid media things about Trump, and one of them was CNN. Do you remember this? Where the guy's like, I'm down at the border and nobody's here, so it looks just like it was the day before. And it's like, nobody's there because the border's closed. No one can make it over anymore because Trump's in charge, and therefore there's no more free entry into America. Good. It shouldn't be free, right? The American tax dollars aren't just a free piggy bank for the world to use or illegals to use. No, it should be used for the American citizens. And she goes on many, many different tirades, not necessarily tirades, counterpoints to the stupid media that is asking her questions about American taxpayers. And I love something she says. I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but that she said really made me feel good. I really liked it. She said the Trump administration is making sure the government is a proper steward for the American tax dollar. And I love that. I love that sentiment. I love that mentality. That's how it should be. The people who are in control that actually choose where the tax goes, so the tax money goes, should be very, very aware that it should be going for the people who spent the fucking money. I'm sorry for swearing, but when you get used to it, when you see how horrible the government is and how I just learned she announced that the government was going to send $50 million for condoms in Gaza. Did you hear about this? I hadn't heard about it. I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but it's like all it's coming back. We'll hear her say it herself, but yeah. Anyway.
Executive order to end catch and release and finish construction of his effective border wall.
Based.
By using every lever of his federal power, President Trump has sent a loud and clear message to the entire world.
America's
America
back.
will no longer tolerate illegal immigration.
Oh, also that.
And this president expects that every nation on this planet will cooperate with the repatriation of their citizens.
Right, Colombia?
As proven by this weekend, when President Trump swiftly directed his team to issue harsh and effective sanctions and tariffs on the Colombian government, upon hearing they were denied a U.S. military aircraft full of their own citizens who were deported by this administration. Within hours, the Colombian government agreed to all of President Trump's demands, proving America is once again respected on the world stage.
It was 38 minutes later that the president was like, the Colombian president was like, use my plane.
So, to foreign nationals who are thinking about trying to illegally enter the United States, think again.
You missed your chance.
Under this president, you will be detained and you will be deported. Every day, Americans are safer because of the violent criminals that President Trump's administration is removing from our communities. On January 23rd, ICE New York arrested a Turkish national for entry without inspection who is a known or suspected terrorist. On January 23rd, ICE San Francisco arrested a citizen of Mexico unlawfully present in the United States who has been convicted of continuous sexual abuse of a child aged 14 years or younger.
Insane.
ICE St. Paul has arrested a citizen of Honduras who was convicted of fourth-degree criminal sexual conduct with a minor. ICE Buffalo arrested a citizen of Ecuador who has been convicted of rape. ICE Boston.
Why are these people in our country?
Arrested a citizen of the Dominican Republic who has a
Democrats
criminal
wanted
conviction for
this
second-degree
fucking
murder.
craziness.
This criminal was convicted of murder for beating his pregnant wife to death in front of her 5-year-old son.
This is insane.
And ICE St. Paul also arrested a citizen of Mexico who was convicted of possessing pornographic material of a minor on a work computer.
I don't know why the work computer is
These are the
important
heinous
or
individuals
relevant,
that
but
this administration is removing from American
computer
communities every single day,
bad.
and to the brave state and local law enforcement officers, CBP, and ICE agents who are helping in the facilitation of this deportation operation, President Trump has your back, and he is grateful for your hard work.
Hell yeah.
On the economic front, President Trump took immediate action to lower costs for families who are suffering from 4 long years of the Biden administration's destructive and inflationary policies.
Facts.
President Trump ordered the heads of all executive departments and agencies to help deliver emergency price relief to the American people, untangle our economy from Biden's regulatory constraints, and end the reckless war on American energy. President Trump also signed sweeping executive orders to end the weaponization of government and restore common sense to the federal bureaucracy. He directed all federal agencies to terminate illegal diversity, equity, and inclusion programs to help return America to a merit-based society. President Trump also signed an executive order declaring it is now the policy of the federal government that there are only 2 sexes, male and female. Sanity has been restored.
I know it seems silly to have to say that, right? Because everybody knows that there's only two genders. Everybody knows there's only two genders. Everybody. Even the crazy people that claim they're other, non-whatever, they know reality. They know the truth. It's a power trip. It's them trying to have a power over you. Or it's a victim card that they use, which is essentially the same thing. They're using that victim card as a manipulation tactic to have power over you or their surroundings. It's all the same shit. These people hate their lives. They want to feel special. They were told probably from their mothers, because they didn't have any fathers growing up, that they're perfect the way they are, and or they could be anything that they want to be, which is just not true. It's bullshit. That's a fucking lie. You're not perfect. No one's perfect the way that they are. You can't be anything you want to be. There are limitations and roadblocks that you might never be able to get over. And that's a reality that people need to see. That's what men or fathers are supposed to be there for, right? To show you the hard truth of life and prepare you for it. Anyway. Two genders. It's back. There's only two. I mean, we knew it, right? It's common sense. Obviously, there's only two genders. Duh.
Before I take your questions, I would like to point out to all of you once again have access to the most transparent and accessible president in American history.
It's true.
There has never been a president who communicates with the American people and the American press corps as openly and authentically as the 45th and now 47th president of the United States. This past week, President Trump has held multiple news conferences, gaggled on Air Force One multiple times, and sat down for a two-part interview on Fox News, which aired last week. As Politico summed it up best, Trump is everywhere again. And that's because President Trump has a great story to tell about the legendary American revival that is well underway.
I gotta add, though, he's not just talking to the press corps, right? He's going to North Carolina, right? And he not only is he talking to the people himself, but he's allowing these people on the ground that have been devastated and haven't been helped by the government and basically been screwed over by the government in many cases. FEMA and local government is preventing them from doing stuff or unable to get them the help that they actually need. I mean, there's many nightmarish cases that you're finding out if you look into it. But he's allowing those people to come and speak to the world as well. It's not like he's just talking to them and like getting their story. It's like, here's the mic, right? There's a lot of people that are watching me could tell the story to the world, right? So we're hearing through, Trump being there, these stories of just FEMA being absolutely horrible and these conditions that these people have been dealing with. And all the while, the Biden administration was sending billions and billions to Ukraine, and I guess they had condoms for Gaza on the list. I don't understand, right? Maui, North Carolina, Palestine, Ohio. Is it Ohio? The train explosion, California wildfires. America needs help, and the American government should prioritize its citizens instead of using the money that those citizens are giving the government, or the government is taking from those citizens, let's put it that way, and just giving to other places. Now, of course, Trump it seized all foreign aid for 90 days so it can be evaluated. Just incredible stuff.
And
it is Ohio.
With this revolutionary media approach that President Trump deployed during the campaign, the Trump White House will speak to all media outlets and personalities, not just the legacy media who are seated in this room. Because according to recent polling from Gallup, Americans' trust in mass media has fallen to a record low. Facts. Millions of Americans, especially young people, have turned from traditional television outlets and newspapers to consume their news from podcasts, blogs, social media, and other independent outlets.
Thanks if you're
It's
getting
essential
news from me.
to our
Appreciate you.
team that we share President Trump's message everywhere and adapt this White House to the new media landscape in 2025. To do this, I'm excited to announce the following changes will be made to this historic James S. Brady briefing room,
I love this.
where Mr.
This is
Brady's
so
legacy
cool.
will endure.
Listen to this.
This White House believes strongly in the First Amendment, so it's why our team will work diligently to restore the press passes of the 440 journalists whose passes were wrongly revoked by the previous administration.
Biden sucked.
We're also opening up this.
But he took 400 press passes away. 400. I didn't know that. That was news to me. And she's just quick firing a bunch of stuff. But when I first heard that, I was like, wow. The Biden administration took 400 press passes away. That's insane. 400. So you can imagine the people that were in there were carefully crafted, chosen because they knew they would suck Biden's dick or go down on whatever. I can never remember. I don't know her name. The lesbian, the first ever black lesbian. That's what she was excited about. That so she made it that's what she wanted to be known. She was excited. She's the first black lesbian press secretary girl. So we'll go with that. The first, oh, that's her name. Cool. So the black lesbian girl.
This briefing room to new media voices who produce news-related
This
content
is so cool.
and whose outlet is not already represented by one of the seats in this room. We welcome independent journalists, podcasters,
Amazing.
social media influencers, and
Listen to
content
that.
creators to apply for credentials to cover this White House.
That could be me.
And you can apply now on our new website,
little far.
whitehouse.gov/new media.
They're letting in all people that, like, anyone who has a platform, not just the legacy media. Like, that is so freaking awesome, right? If I still lived in Maryland, I could very well have done that. And I'm sure Tim's going to get on that, which he absolutely should. I wouldn't blame him in the slightest, because it was an hour away when I was there. I don't know where they are still, if they're in the same location or whatnot, but incredible. Absolutely incredible. I love that. That's such a good idea, because the new generations, I would say my generation and younger, right? I'm 40. So under 40, you're not watching CNN. You're not watching Fox. And maybe even like 10 years older than me. I feel like people are waking up as if the older generations are watching that shit less and less. You know, they're finding their news personality, or no, they're finding their podcaster or the personality that they enjoy listening to. They like the authenticity. They like the way that they speak, the way that they sound, you know, the perfect Goldilocks zone for the person they like to hear their news from. And it's not legacy media, right? Tucker Carlson has a massive base. I mean, he left Fox and became Super Saiyan, right? Now he's bigger than ever. Fox was so stupid for firing him. I can't believe they did that. Oh, my goodness.
Today, this seat in the front of the room, which is usually occupied by the press secretary's staff, will be called the new media seat.
New media seat, baby.
My team will review the applications and give credentials to new media applicants who meet our criteria and pass United States Secret Service requirements to enter the White House complex.
So cool.
So in light of these announcements, our first questions for today's briefing will go to these new media members whose outlets, despite being some of the most viewed news websites in the country, have not been given seats in this room.
Breitbart.
And before I turn to questions, I do have news directly from the President of the United States that was just shared with me in the Oval Office.
Oh, this is the drone
from
thing.
President Trump directly, an update on the New Jersey drones. After research and study, the drones that were flying over New Jersey in large numbers were authorized to be flown by the FAA for research and various other reasons. Many of these drones were also hobbyists, recreational, and private individuals that enjoy flying drones. In time, it got worse due to curiosity. This was not the enemy. A statement from the President of the United States to start this briefing with some news. And with that, I will turn it over to questions. And we will begin with our new media members, Mike Allen from Axios, Matt Boyle from Breitbart. Mike,
and Breitbart's back, baby.
Alan, does the president see anything fishy about DeepSeek, either
How packed that
its
room is.
origins or its cost? And could China's ability to make these models quicker, cheaper, affect our thinking about expanding generation data centers, chip manufacturing?
Sure.
So DeepSeek. So I don't know how many people have been paying attention to this. DeepSeek is the incredibly cheap AI that's coming out of China, like incredibly cheap. And it's, from what I understand, you don't have to be connected to the internet to use it. So you could download the app and then just use it, and it's just like it's like $1 million. They spent like $2 million or something. And it's shaking up the entire world as far in the AI realm because of how cheap it is. And I mean, Facebook was going to spend billions and billions of dollars on AI. I'm sure Elon Musk is spending billions on AI, XAI, all these different companies, Google AI, and then boom, it comes out super low energy consumption for what it is. Oh, interesting. Okay, that makes sense too. So the competition for AI just suddenly got this insane, cheap Chinese knockoff that's actually really good. It's not like it's not like a shitty project or product. It's not from Temu, right? It's like an actual contender. So anyway, that's what this question is, and here's her response.
The president was asked about DeepSeek last night on Air Force One when he gaggled for, I think, the third or fourth time throughout the weekend with members of the traveling press corps. The president said that he believes that this is a wake-up call to the American AI industry. The last administration sat on their hands and allowed China to rapidly develop this AI program. And so President Trump believes in restoring American AI dominance. And that's why he took very strong executive action this past week to sign executive orders to roll back some of the onerous regulations on the AI industry. And President Trump has also proudly appointed the first AI and crypto czar at this White House, David Sachs, whom I spoke with yesterday, very knowledgeable on this subject, and his team is here working every single day to ensure American AI dominance. As for the national security implications, I spoke with NSC this morning. They are looking into what those may be, and when I have an update, I will share it with you, Mike.
I really like that point, G-Goals, where this is a Sputnik moment. For those who aren't aware, if you've been living under a rock or just don't pay attention to space at all, Sputnik is the satellite that was the first satellite in space that basically started off the entire space race because Russia put Sputnik into space, and then Yuri Gagarin, Laika, they were hitting the first on everything in space, and America got really freaked out because Sputnik was this thing that they couldn't do anything about. There it is. They could see it flying over. They didn't know what it was. It was like it created this national camaraderie, this patriotism to like come together and get going and beat that. Now, there is a huge difference. I highly doubt it's going to cause that same kind of fear. I don't think people are afraid of AI enough because there is very much a possibility of it going too far exponentially. I already read about this years ago now that AI created a better version of AI because it wasn't able to do the things that it wanted to do. Now, this was years ago. Now, you can only imagine like how good AI has gotten. Just look at like the videos of Will Smith eating spaghetti from 2 years ago to last year to this year. It almost looks real this year, right? We're getting to that. We're getting close to reality in what AI is capable of doing, or those movies that were created fully from AI. And like it's kind of like nauseating because it's just off kilter. It's just not realistic enough that it's creepy, right? They're tweaking that. And there's going to be a point where it gets so realistic we can't tell the difference anymore. And then Eagle Eye happens. Someone mentioned that on the show the other day. One of the best I think it was Pepe Pan. It's one of the best, most accurate versions of what AI could potentially do. That's devastating. Just take over the entire network and take people out that it deems threats to humanity or to the planet, or more importantly, itself, which could be all of us. So AI is very, very important, and we need to be a part of the conversation and thus be first, because America, as I say many times, it's that bastion of hope. It's that bastion of freedom on this planet. And if it's leading the charge and it has a government that actually cares about individual sovereignty, that will be at the core of AI. And we need that to be the case. And China putting out a very cheap AI that basically disrupts the world of AI, that at some point, consumers need to make a choice where you want to put your money or your time or your energy. You know what I mean? I don't know. I feel like everyone needs to be into this battle. Everyone needs to be paying attention to what's going on, or we're gonna lose the future. So it's a scary time.
Carolyn, you say restore U.S. dominance. Is there a fear that the U.S. either is falling or has fallen behind? And how would the president make sure the U.S. stays ahead?
No, the president is confident that we will restore American dominance in AI. Matt.
So
She
Caroline,
didn't answer the question, but I'm gonna answer it. America has fallen behind. Of course. It doesn't manufacture its own medicine anymore. It doesn't manufacture almost anything anymore. I'm sure there's steel still, a lot of corn, lots of corn. All right. I don't know if you've driven through with center of America, but there's a shit ton of corn. All right. Granted, it's mostly for the beef. That there's also a lot of beef. But as far as the medicine, which I think is one of the more important things, like America doesn't make its own medicine. It doesn't make its own electronics for the most part. I mean, Taiwan's making the chips. China's making pretty much everything, right? So, I don't know. It has been slipping. So, all our jobs have just been going elsewhere for a long time.
First off, thank you to you and President Trump for actually giving voices to new media outlets that represent millions and millions of Americans. The thing I would add, I've got a two-part question for you. The first is just, can you expand upon what steps the White House is going to take to bring more voices, not less, which is what our founder, Andrew Breitbart, believed in, into this room where they rightfully belong?
Yeah.
All right. I really love this, but someone just pointed something out and said, "Who is the girl with no bra?" This is so fucking inappropriate. She looks like she's not wearing a shirt under this. Like, what is this? This woman is wearing just a white, like, blazer with zero bra. How inappropriate is that? Like, you're going to a White House for a press briefing. What the hell are you wearing? Look at that. What is she wearing? Yeah, good call. I was over here watching this old dude, or this guy, but you can't really see from Breitbart right behind her head. Dude, so inappropriate. Can you zoom in though? No, I can't zoom in. Sorry.
Absolutely. And as I said in my opening statement, Matt, it is a priority of this White House to honor the First Amendment. And it is a fact that Americans are consuming their news media from various different platforms, especially young people. And as the youngest press secretary in history, thanks to President Trump, I take great pride in opening up this room to new media voices to share the president's message with as many Americans as possible. In doing so, number one, we will ensure that outlets like yours, Axios and Breitbart, which are widely respected and viewed outlets, have an actual seat in this room every day. We also, again, encourage anybody in this country, whether you are a TikTok content creator, a blogger, a podcaster, if you are producing legitimate news content, no matter the medium, you will be allowed to apply for press credentials to this White House. And as I said earlier, our new
Savannah Hernandez
media
is going to be in there.
is
Watch it.
whitehouse.gov/new media. And so we encourage people to apply. Again, as long as you are creating news-related content of the day and you're a legitimate legitimate independent journalist, you're welcome to cover this White House.
And
It's awesome.
secondly, Caroline, you said you laid out several of the actions that President Trump has taken. Obviously, it's a stark contrast to the previous administration, a breakneck speed from President Trump. Can we expect that pace to continue as the first 100 days moves along here and beyond that?
Absolutely. There's no doubt President Trump has always been the hardest working man in politics. I think that's been proven over the past week. This president has again signed more than 300 executive orders. He's taken historic action. I gaggled aboard Air Force One to mark the first 100 days of this administration, 4 p.m. last Friday, or first 100 hours rather. And this president did more in the first 100 hours than the previous president did in the first 100 days. So President Trump,
I would argue his entire presidency. I mean things that Biden did himself. Things that Biden actually did. Right? Not what other people slid in front of him and said, sign here, and picked up his hand and went like this. That doesn't count. I'm talking about the first week of Trump's second term has done more for the American public than all of Biden's administration. When am I going to have Savannah back on the show? I don't know. She unfollowed me last year, and I messaged her. I said I hope I didn't offend you or anything, and I had previously asked her to join the show, and she hadn't responded, and she still hasn't. So I haven't talked to her in, I don't know, a year and a half, and I still don't know why she unfollowed me. So yeah, it's a shame. I really like Savannah. She's fantastic. So I still follow her, I still support her, I still really like her, but I haven't talked to her, so I don't know what that's all about. Yeah,
I think you can all expect for him to continue to work at this breakneck speed, so I hope you're all ready to work very hard. I know that we are. Zeke Miller.
Thanks, Caroline. A question that we've asked your predecessors of both parties in this job. When you're up here in this briefing room speaking to the American public, do you view yourself and your role as advocating on behalf of the president, or providing the unvarnished truth that is, not to lie, not to obfuscate to the American people?
I commit to telling the truth from this podium every single day. I commit to speaking on behalf of the President of the United States. That is my job. And I will say it's very easy to speak truth from this podium when you have a president who is implementing policies that are wildly popular with the American people. And that's exactly what this administration is doing. It's correcting the lies and the wrongs of the past 4 years, many of the lies that have been told to your faces in this very briefing room. I will not do that. But since you brought up truth, Zeke, I would like to point out, while I vowed to provide the truth from this podium, we ask that all of you in this room hold yourselves to that same standard. We know for a fact there have been lies that have been pushed by many legacy media outlets in this country about this president, about his family, and we will not accept that. We will call you out when we feel that your reporting is wrong or there is misinformation about this White House. So I will hold myself to the truth, and I expect everyone in this room to do the same.
And Caroline,
I love that she just basically judo flipped the entire news media when just asked about what she's gonna do as far as being truthful and not obfuscating the truth. He was like, what are you gonna do? How are you gonna act? She was like, well, I'm gonna be the truth teller. And also, it's very easy because I work for Trump, who's got awesome policies, who shits all over all of you. And by the way, all of you lie. We all know that you lie. All right, we're gonna call you out on those lies. So I'm gonna tell the truth, and I expect the same for all of you. It's just like, damn, holy shit.
Substantive question. Yesterday, the White House Office of Management and Budget directed across the board freeze, with some exceptions for individual assistance, we understand, to federal grants. It's caused a lot of confusion around the country. Head Start providers, among providers services to homeless veterans, Medicaid providers, states saying they're having trouble accessing the portal. Could you help us clear up some confusion, give some certainty to folks? And also, is that uncertainty, how does that uncertainty service the president's voters?
Well, I think there's only uncertainty in this room amongst the media. There's no uncertainty in this building. So let me provide the certainty and the clarity that all of you need. This is not a blanket pause on federal assistance and grant programs from the Trump administration. individual assistance. That includes, I'm not naming everything that's included, but just to give you a few examples, Social Security benefits, Medicare benefits, food stamps, welfare benefits, assistance that is going directly to individuals will not be impacted by this pause. And I want to make that very clear to any Americans who are watching at home who may be a little bit confused about some of the media reporting. This administration, if you are receiving individual assistance from the federal government, you will still continue to receive that. However, it is the responsibility of this president and this administration to be good stewards of taxpayer dollars. That is something that President Trump campaigned on.
Beautiful.
That's why he has launched DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, who is working alongside OMB. And that's why OMB sent out this memo last night, because the president signed an executive order directing OMB to do just this. And the reason for this is to ensure that every penny that is going out the door is not conflicting with the executive orders and actions that this president has taken. So what does this pause mean? It means no more funding for illegal DEI programs. It means no more funding for the Green New scam that has cost American taxpayers tens of billions of dollars. It means no more funding for transgenderism and wokeness across our federal bureaucracy and agencies. No more funding for Green New Deal social engineering policies. Again, people who are receiving individual assistance, you will continue to receive that. And President Trump is looking out for you by issuing this pause because he is being good steward of your taxpayer dollars.
How refreshing was that? How refreshing. Look, we want to make sure that your money is being spent properly. And by the way, if you are individually getting help from the government, you're good. Nothing's going to change there. I almost want to skip a little bit because she does this dance with like 7 different reporters that are like, well, what about the individuals? What about Medicaid? What Medicare? What about this and what about this? And she's like, I answered your question already. Why are you asking me this? Like, I already made it very clear. She made it very clear right there, right? I mean, that was very clear. You're like, no. We're auditing the shit that you're not getting. All the money that isn't going to you. That's stopping. But if you're an American citizen that's on some sort of government program, which I think even those should be audited, let's be real, food stamps, welfare in general. What happened? It started in the 70s. There was a big, huge downfall in society since the 70s. There's many factors, but that was certainly one of them. Anyway, let's continue.
Ms. Caroline,
Sure.
how long is this pause going to last, and how is the Trump administration recommending that organizations that rely on federal funding make payroll, pay their rent in the meantime?
I'm sorry. It's like, it's not, I can see her boob. That's literally her boob. I can almost make out stretch marks on her boob. I could literally see her boob. I feel like I'm auditing her boob right now. It's very distracting. I have no idea what the question was. Someone said it might be the same color, like she's wearing like a turtleneck. There's no turtleneck. What? Look, that's like she's straight up. You can see the boob. Where are the different colors? Hold on.
It is a
I don't see different colors.
temporary pause in the Office of Management and Budget is reviewing the federal funding that has been going out the door. Again, not for individual assistance, but for all of these other programs that I mentioned. I also spoke with the incoming director of OMB this morning, and he told me to tell all of you that the line to his office is open for other federal government agencies across the board. And if they feel that programs are necessary and in line with the president's agenda, then the Office of Management and Budget will review those policies. I think this is a very responsible measure. Again, the past 4 years, we've seen the Biden administration spend money like drunken sailors. It's a big reason we've had an inflation crisis in this country, and it's incumbent upon this administration to make sure, again, that every penny is being accounted for honestly.
Why impose this pause with so little notice? Why not give organizations more time to plan for the fact that they are about to...
Okay, I see it with this close up. All right, there it is. The line. Okay, I can see it now. All right. They enhanced for us, ladies and gentlemen. They enhanced for us. I can see the top. It's right there. Federal booby inspector. Yes, Rusty. 100%.
Lose, in some cases, really crucial federal funding,
There
at
was-
least for a period of time.
There was notice. It was the executive order that the president signed. There's also a freeze on hiring, as you know, a regulatory freeze, and there's also a freeze on foreign aid. And this is, again, incredibly important to ensure that this administration is taking into consideration how hard the American people are working. And their tax dollars actually matter to this administration. You know, just
So
during this
good.
pause, DOJ and OMB have actually found that there was $37 million that was about to go out the door to the World Health Organization, which is an organization, as you all know, that President Trump, with the swipe of his pen in that executive order, is no longer
Thankfully.
wants the United States to be a
Just
part
left.
of. So that wouldn't be in
Hell
line
yeah.
with the president's agenda.
They have a year.
DOJ and OMB also found that
But they
there
don't
was
have to
about
send
to
them
be
any money,
50
though.
million taxpayer dollars that went out the door to fund condoms in Gaza. That is a preposterous waste of taxpayer money.
Fuck that
so
shit.
That's what this pause is focused on, being good stewards of tax dollars.
And so this doesn't
Jennifer.
affect Meals on Wheels or Head Start or disaster aid?
Again, it does not affect individual assistance that's going to Americans.
To follow up on Nancy, do you think there will be a list of who is affected and how much money is affected? How will these contractors and organizations know if they are actually having their funding frozen? And then secondly, if you're willing, can you just clarify, is the end goal of this to essentially challenge Congress or to prove that the president can withhold federal funding? In other words,
Stupid
is
question.
this an attempt to pick
Is
a
he
fight
petty?
to prove that he can do this?
No,
Is he-
absolutely
is he a
not.
petty
As
president?
it says right here in the
Stupid
memo, which I
question.
have, and I'd
Shut the
encourage all of
fuck-
you to read it.
No.
It says the American people elected President Trump to be the president of the United States and gave him a mandate to increase the impact of every federal dollar. This memo requires federal agencies to identify and review all federal financial assistance programs and supporting activities consistent with the president's policies and requirements. The American people gave President Trump an overwhelming mandate on November 5th, and he's just trying to ensure that the tax money going out the door in this very bankrupt city actually aligns with the will and the priorities of the American people. Brian Glenn.
Yes. Welcome. You
Thank
look
you.
great. You're doing a great job.
Thank
you talked
you.
about transparency.
Creepy.
And some of us in this room
You
know
look great.
how just transparent
Your breasts look
President Trump
fantastic.
has been the last
I really
5
like
or
the way
6
your eyes
years. I think
sparkle.
you'll do the same.
Sorry. Do you remember Mad TV? Or what movie is this from? Where the guy's like, "Hey, what movie is it from? Where the guy's just like, "Hey, all right, I'm here just to ask you a question. You look fantastic. You're really beautiful. I love the light on your hair, and so I just really, it's from a movie. Oh, what movie is it from? I could see the guy. I could see the actor. But that's that energy. It's like, bro, it's weird to compliment her look. I think that's weird. Isn't it? Anyway. Sorry.
My question is, Trump has been the last 5 or 6 years. I think you'll
He
do
was
the
just
same.
complimenting
My
her.
question is, do you think this latest incident
Kinda
with
looks
the
like a
president
creep.
of Colombia is indicative of the global, powerful respect they have for President Trump moving forward, not only to engage in economic diplomacy with these countries, but also world peace?
Absolutely. I'll echo the answer that the president gave on Air Force One last night when he was asked a very similar question by one of your colleagues in the media. This signifies peace through strength is back. And this president will not tolerate illegal immigration into America's interior. And he expects every nation on this planet, again, to cooperate with the repatriation of their citizens who illegally entered into our country and broke America's laws. Won't be tolerated. And as you saw, the Colombian government quickly folded and agreed to all of President
30
Trump's
minutes.
demands. Flights are underway once again.
Boom.
Deanna.
2 questions on deportations, if I may. President Trump had said on the campaign trail that he would deport pro-Hamas students who are here on visas. And on his first day in office, he signed an executive order that said, quote, "The U.S. must ensure that admitted aliens and aliens otherwise already present in the U.S. do not bear hostile attitudes towards its citizens, culture, government, institutions, or founding principles." So should we take this executive order as Trump saying he would be open to deporting those students who are here on visas but, hold pro-Hamas sympathies?
The president is open to deporting individuals who have broken our nation's immigration laws. So if they are here illegally, then certainly he is open to deporting them. And that's what this administration is hard at work at doing. We receive data from DHS and from ICE every single day. From what we hear on the ground, ICE agents are feeling incredibly empowered right now because they actually have a leader in this building who is supporting them in doing their jobs that they were hired to do, which is to detain, arrest, and deport illegal criminals who have invaded our nation's borders over the past 4 years. That's what the president is committed to seeing. Peter.
Yeah, I felt like that was like like trying to get. She's so good at not letting anyone trip her up. A lot of people are trying to lead and get her to like give them something that they could freak out about, and take to the press and say something. She's like. She made it very clear. We're auditing the government. We're getting rid of illegals. We're stewards for American tax dollars for the American people. It's just like she's so clear and concise with what, and they don't understand. They don't like it. Dude, these people really want to hate Trump. They really want to make him look bad, but they can't. They can't do it. You know why they can't? Because Trump won the popular vote. Most of America wanted him to do everything that he's doing right now. Great point, BV. They're being intentionally ignorant. 100%. No. Yeah. Intentionally ignorant. But it's not even ignorance. It's belligerent. Or it's they're trying to ask something in a way, but they're not getting an answer. She is not allowing them to. She's not giving them what they want, and she's great. She's proving that she's capable of handling this job on her first day.
Just following up on the question on immigration first, President Trump during the course of the campaign in 2024 said the following about illegal immigration. He said, "They're going back home where they belong, and we start with the criminals. There are many, many criminals." NBC News has learned that ICE arrested 1,179 undocumented immigrants on Sunday, but nearly half of them, 566 of the migrants, appear to have no prior criminal record besides entering the country illegally. Is the president still focused exclusively, which is a civil crime, it's not criminal?
It's a federal crime.
So I'm asking though. He said he was going to focus on those violent offenders first. So is violent offenders no longer the predicate for these people to be deported?
The president has said countless times on the campaign trail, I've been with him at the rallies, I know you've been there covering
that guy
them too,
was a
Peter,
clown. I
that
agree.
he is focused on launching the largest mass deportation operation in American history of illegal criminals.
Do you notice that he was like, he stopped himself for calling them he was like, shit, how do I say this in a way that makes it seem like you're only going after you're arresting non-criminals even though they are criminals because they came in illegally, therefore making them criminals. He like almost he messed it up actually, because honestly, no matter the way he answered or asked the question, he already messed up.
And if you are an individual, a foreign national, who illegally enters the United States of America, you are, by definition, a criminal. And so therefore, you are subject to deportation.
I apologize for interrupting. So to be clear, it's not violent criminals do not receive precedence in terms of the deportations taking place.
The president has also said two things can be true at the same time. We want to deport illegal criminals, illegal immigrants from this country, but the president has said that, of course, the illegal criminal drug dealers, the rapists, the murderers, the individuals who have committed heinous acts on the interior of our country and who have terrorized law-abiding American citizens, absolutely, those should be the priority of ICE, but that doesn't mean that the other illegal criminals who entered our nation's borders are off the table.
Understood.
Exactly.
Let me ask a separate question about the confusion.
Like, how is that a crazy take at all? It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, of course they're priority. If you can only get 2 people out of a room that has 10 illegals in it, all right, and 3 of them are psychopaths, you're going to start with 2 of the psychopaths, okay? But the next time you come in, you're going to take the last psychopath and another illegal that isn't a psychopath. You're still gonna, or if you can't find that third psychopath, you still have to get him out of the room. So you're gonna take 2 people, and if you miss that one psychopath, you still need to get them out of the room. They're all there illegally. They all can't be there anymore. This guy was a fucking clown.
That still exists across the country right now as it relates to the freeze or the pause as it's described. President Trump, of course, ran one of the key policy items was that he was going to lower prices, lower the cost of everything from groceries, as he often said. But in many of the cases, it would seem that some of these moves could raise prices for real Americans on everything from low-income heating, that program, child care programs. Will nothing that the president's doing here in terms of the freeze in these programs raise prices on ordinary Americans?
He's also trying to get rid of the IRS. he's also trying to have inflation in check and bring back manufacturing to America. I'm sorry, that guy is a clown. I'll happily pay a little bit more if I know that I get to keep a lot more of my money, and my money's worth a hell of a lot more. And maybe there's companies that make shit that's worth buying once instead of making crap that break over. He quit today? Did he? Did he? Hold on. I don't even know who this guy is. I don't even really want to know.
What particular actions are you referring to that
I'm
would...
referring to LHEAP right now. That's the low-income heating program, for example. We can talk about... There's no clarity, so I could refer to a lot of...
Guaranteed, I guarantee you, this guy has never heard of this low-income housing heating thing ever before someone informed him that you could use this as ammunition against this. This guy has never heard of low-income housing heating or the way that works. This guy has no idea. What?
We don't know what they are specifically. Can you tell us that LHEAP, the LIHEAP, is not one of those affected?
So you're
He doesn't
asking
even know how to say it.
hypothetical based on programs that you can't even identify.
No, I just identified.
What I can tell you is that
Since you guys haven't identified, let's do it together.
You're asking about programs that you don't even know about. She just shit all over him. It was so glorious.
Just for
identified.
But listen,
What I can tell you
just
is that
since you guys haven't identified, let's do it together.
since you haven't identified, let's do it together. He's like, all right, well, I'm not going to call you on any one particular thing. She already made it very clear. Remember, like 10 minutes ago, she said, let me just make it very clear. The government's auditing everything. If you're an individual, you're not going to be affected.
For Americans at home, Medicaid.
She made it very clear. Medicaid was not going to be affected. She said that earlier. This guy is a fucking clown trying to get something out of her.
Is that affected?
I gave you a list of examples:
And
Social Security, Medicare.
She's like, I already gave you the
welfare
list.
benefits,
Medicaid.
You weren't
food
paying
stamps
attention.
that will not be impacted by this federal pause. I can get you the full list after this briefing from the Office of Management and Budget. But I do want to address the cost cutting because that's certainly very important. And cutting the cost of living.
Hold on, real quick. I love that she used something that he mentioned, didn't even ask a question about it. I don't know if you noticed that, right? He just started talking about, Trump claimed he was going to drop the prices, but now he's going to raise the prices and all this stuff, and then blah, blah, blah. And she shut his ass down because he made himself sound like an idiot. And then she used his own words as a segue to boost Trump. That marvelous move on her part. I don't know if you caught that. Huge, though. Awesome.
In this country. President Trump has taken historic action over the past week to do that. He actually signed a memorandum to deliver emergency price relief for American families, which took a number of actions. I can walk you through those. He also repealed many onerous Biden administration regulations. We know over the past 4 years, American households has been essentially taxed $55,000 in regulations from the previous administration. President Trump, with the swipe of his pen, rescinded those, which will ultimately put more money back in the pockets of the American people. So deregulation is a big deal. And then when it comes to energy, the president signed an executive order to declare a national energy emergency here at home, which is going to make America energy dominant. We know that energy is one of the #1 drivers of inflation. And so that's why the president wants to increase our energy supply to bring down costs for Americans. The Trump energy boom is incoming, and Americans can expect that.
And that's going to be felt globally. If America starts manufacturing and producing its own oil, Americans' energy bills are going to drop significantly. Gas is going to drop significantly. Then all of a sudden, Saudi Arabia, all the oil producers in the Middle East, Russia, they've got competition because now Trump's selling oil. Now the price of oil on the planet starts plummeting because everyone's trying to compete against each other. So everyone on the planet is going to be prospering because of that move, because of the energy dominance that Trump is going to enact. And I can't wait. I am 100% behind it. Amazing.
Caroline.
Thank you.
Caroline, I think some of the confusion I think may be here with this pause on federal funding. You've made it clear you're not stopping funds that go directly to individuals, but there certainly are lots of organizations that receive funding and then may pass along a benefit. Meals on Wheels, for one. They provide meals for over 2.2 million seniors. What is the president's message to Americans out there, many of whom supported him and voted for him, who are concerned that this is going to impact them directly, even if, as you said, the funding isn't coming directly to their wallet?
I have now been asked and answered this question 4 times. To individuals at home who receive direct assistance from the federal government, you will not be impacted by this federal freeze. In fact, OMB just sent out a memo to Capitol Hill with Q&A to clarify some of the questions and the answers that all of you are asking me right now. Again, direct assistance will not be impacted. I've been asked and answered about this OMB memo. There's many other topics of the day. Jackie Heinrich.
Indirect assistance, Caroline, if it's going to another organization and then trickling down.
Direct assistance that is in the hands of the American people will not be impacted. Again, as I said to Peter, we will continue to provide that list as it comes to fruition. But OMB right now is focused on analyzing the federal government's spending, which is exactly what the American people elected President Trump to do.
And one question, Caroline, on immigration. Of the 3,500 arrests ICE has made so far since President Trump came back into office, can you just tell us the numbers? How many have a criminal record versus those who are just in the country illegally?
All of them, because they illegally broke our nation's laws and therefore they are criminals as far as this administration goes. I know the last administration didn't see it that way, so it's a big culture shift in our nation to view someone who breaks our immigration laws as a criminal, but that's exactly what they are.
So good. I started laughing when I first heard that. I was just, dude, that is so good. I know you're not used to that.
Have a criminal record.
And welcome to the briefing.
If they broke our nation's laws, yes, they are criminal. Yes.
Thank you. On stripping security details for figures like John Bolton, Pompeo,
hey, Chad, it's your girl.
Senator Tom Cotton said that he's seen the intelligence and the threat from Iran is real for anyone who played a role in the Soleimani strike. He voiced concern it wouldn't just impact those individuals, but potentially their family, innocent bystanders, friends, anyone who's near them when they're out in public. Is the president open to reconsidering his decision?
The president was asked and answered this yesterday, and he was firm in his decision despite some of the comments that you had referenced. And he's made it very clear that he does not believe American taxpayers should fund security details for individuals who have served in the government for the rest of their lives. And there's nothing stopping these individuals that you mentioned from obtaining private security. That's where the president stands on it. I have no updates on that.
Is there any concern that this decision might jeopardize the administration's ability to hire the best advisors for these kinds of positions in the future?
It's
no,
a
in
stupid
fact, I've talked to the
question.
presidential personnel
What the
office
hell
who
is
has told
she
me
talking
directly
about?
that there is such an influx of resumes for this administration that it's incredibly overwhelming. There is no lack of talent for the Trump administration. Reagan Reed.
Would he take any responsibility if anything happened to these people? Would he feel at all that his decision was a factor?
What
in
the
that?
fuck?
The president was asked to answer this
Fauci.
yesterday. I defer you to his comments.
Caroline.
Reagan, since you're in the back row, I hear
Stupid
you. The
question.
back row hasn't gotten much attention
Wear
in the
a
last 4
proper
years, so
shirt
I'm
next
happy to
time.
answer your question.
I can project. Does the president intend to permanently cut off funding to NGOs that are bringing illegal foreign nationals to the country, such as Catholic Charities?
I am actually quite certain that the president signed an executive order that did just that, and I can point you to that.
One more, Caroline. President Trump issued an executive order on increased vetting for refugees and visa applications.
Right.
Part of that order was considering an outright ban for countries that have deficient screening processes. Has the president considered yet which countries might fall into this category? Are countries like Afghanistan or Syria under consideration for a full ban?
Yeah, so the president signed an executive order to streamline the vetting for visa applicants and for illegal immigrants in this country who are coming, of course, from other nations. It also directed the Secretary of State to review the process and make sure that other countries around the world are being completely transparent with our nation and the individuals that they are sending here. And so the Secretary of State has been directed to report back to the president. I haven't seen that report yet. We've only been here for a few days.
Caroline, for you. One, on the freeze in federal funding, who advised the president on the legality of telling government agencies that they don't have to spend money that was already appropriated by Congress?
Well, as the OMB memo states, this is certainly within the confines of the law. So White House counsel's office believes that this is within the president's power to do it, and therefore he's doing it.
Okay, so they disagree with lawmakers who say that they don't have the power to freeze this funding.
Again, I would point you to the language in the memo that clearly states this is within the law.
And all that happened on Friday night. The administration fired several inspectors general without giving Congress the 30-day legally required notification that they were being fired. I think only 2 were left at DHS and the DOJ. And then yesterday we saw several prosecutors, I believe 12, fired from the Justice Department who worked on the investigations into the president. As you know, they are career prosecutors, therefore they are afforded civil service protections. How is the administration deciding which laws to follow and which ones to ignore?
So it is the belief of this White House and the White House counsel's office that the president was within his executive authority to do that. He is the executive of the executive branch, and therefore he has the power to fire anyone within the executive branch that he wishes to. There's also a case that went before the Supreme Court in 2020, Scala Law LLC versus the Customs, Bureau Protection. I would advise you to look at that case, and that's the legality that this White House was resting on.
You're confident that if they bring lawsuits against you, those prosecutors who were fired, that they will succeed?
We will win in court,
And
yes.
did he personally direct this, given they worked on the classified documents investigation and the election interference investigation?
This was a memo that went out by the Presidential Personnel Office, and the president is the leader of this White House. So yes. Yes.
Caroline. Get wrecked. Yeah. Did you see Tim Walz, the almost vice president? Ugh. Sorry, even saying that gives me the chills. The almost vice president made this like tough tweet about like Donald Trump is gonna keep money from my citizens. I'll see him in court. Oh, I'm so strong. Yeah, talking shit. Yeah, good luck, sir.
Caroline? Sure. Thank you. Congrats on your first day behind the podium.
Thank you.
President Trump ended funding for UNRWA and also designated the Houthis a foreign terrorist organization.
That's right.
Both were decisions that the previous administration had reversed. So here's my question. Will there be an investigation into who gave the previous administration this terrible advice?
Well, that's a very good point. I haven't heard discussions about such an investigation, but it wouldn't be a bad idea considering that the Houthis certainly are terrorists. They have launched attacks on U.S. naval ships across this world, and so I think it was a very wise move by this administration to redesignate them as a terrorist group, because they are, and I think it was a foolish decision by the previous administration to do so. As for an investigation, I'm not sure about that, but it's not a bad idea. Josh.
Thank you for the question. I appreciate it. Can you give us an update on the president's plans for his tariff agenda? He spoke a lot about this yesterday, and there's a couple of dates coming up that he's spoken to. Number one, February 1st, he's alluded to both the potential for tariffs for Canada and Mexico, but also China to take effect on those days. What's he thinking about that?
Yeah.
Should those countries expect that?
Again, he was asked and answered this question this past weekend when he took a lot of questions from the press, and he said that the February 1st date for Canada and Mexico still holds.
What about the China 10% tariff that he also had mused about last Tuesday going into effect on the same day?
Yeah, the president has said that he is very much still considering that for February 1st.
Separately, yesterday he talked also about sectoral tariffs on, for instance, pharmaceuticals as well as semiconductor computer chips. He talked about steel, aluminum, and copper. What's the timeline on those? Is that a similar sort of coming days thing?
Yeah, so when the president talked about that in his speech yesterday, that actually wasn't a new announcement. That was within a presidential memorandum that he signed in one of the first days here in the White White House on his America First trade agenda. So there's more details on those tariffs in there. As far as a date, I don't have a specific date to read out to you, but the president is committed to implementing tariffs effectively, just like he did in his first term.
Finally, he also was asked on the plane when he gaggled about the potential for a universal tariff. He was asked maybe about 2.5%.
Yeah.
There was a report about that. He said he wanted much bigger than that. Should we understand that these tariffs would add up? You know, in other words, you might have country-specific tariffs like Canada, Mexico, China. You might have sectoral tariffs like on pharmaceuticals, as well as a potential universal tariff on top of that. Do these stack on one or the other, or would one sort of take precedence over another?
All I can point you to is what the president has said on this front. The February 1st date for Canada and Mexico,
like,
also the China tariff that he has discussed.
knows?
He rejected the 2.5% tariff. He said that was a little bit too low. He wants it to be higher. I'll leave it to him to make any decisions on that front.
Yeah.
Phil Wegman.
What the Mexicans and
Phil.
Canadians have done so far, do you have any comment on whether that has met the bar, what he wants to see on fentanyl? Thank you.
Yo, you've
I
asked
won't
so
get
many
ahead
questions.
of the president
Shut up,
again
dude.
on advocating to
Some of these people are
foreign
so
nations
rude.
on what they should or shouldn't do to get away from these tariffs. The president has made it very clear, again, that he expects every nation around this world to cooperate with the repatriation of their citizens. And the president has also put out specific statements in terms of Canada and Mexico when it comes to what he expects in terms of border security. We have seen a historic level of cooperation from Mexico, but again, as far as I'm still tracking, and that was last night talking to the president directly, February 1st is still on the books. Phil.
Thank you, Caroline. Quick programming note and then a question on taxes.
Programming note.
Well, in terms of programming,
Sounds
should we
fun.
expect to see you here every day? How frequently will these press briefings be?
It is a good question, April. So, look, the president, as you know, is incredibly accessible. First day here, he wanted all of you in the Oval Office. You got a 60-minute press conference with the leader of the free world while he was simultaneously signing
So
executive
badass.
orders. I may add, that's pretty impressive. I don't
It
think
is.
the previous office holder
It's true.
would be able to pull such a thing off. So, look, the president is the best spokesperson that this White House has. And I can assure you that you will be hearing from both him and me as much as possible.
And then a question about tax cuts. The president has promised to extend the tax cuts from the previous term. I'm curious, does the president support corresponding spending cuts as some Republicans have called for in Congress? And will the new Treasury Secretary be leading those negotiations with the Hill as Mnuchin did during the first administration?
The president is committed to both tax cuts and spending cuts, and he has a great team negotiating on his behalf, but there's no better negotiator than Donald Trump, and I'm sure he'll be involved in this reconciliation process as it moves forward. Sure.
She's
Caroline,
great, man.
The announcement that you made last night on the Iron Dome, it said the president had directed that the United States will build this Iron Dome.
Yeah.
When you read into the executive order, it seemed short of that. It asked for a series of studies and reports back to him. Can you tell us whether the president has directed this? And if he is just concerned on this issue, why the suspensions that we saw listed by OMB included so many different nuclear programs, non-proliferation programs, programs to blend
Woody
down
Allen
nuclear weapons
as a
and so forth.
Reporter is
First
just
of all, when it
the
comes to
worst.
the Iron Dome, the executive order directed the implementation of an Iron Dome. It also, as you said, kind of directed research and studies to see if or how the United States can go about doing this, particularly the Department of Defense. When it comes to the other question that you asked about those specific programs, again, I would say this is not a ban. This is a temporary pause and a freeze to ensure that all of the money going out from Washington, D.C. is in line with the president's agenda. And as the Office of Management and Budget has updates on what will be kickstarted once again, I will provide those to you.
Just clarify for a sec what you were saying before on Medicaid. It wasn't clear to me whether you were saying that no Medicaid would be cut off. Obviously, a lot of this goes to
did
states
say that.
before it goes to individuals.
She made it very
and so
clear.
forth. So are you guaranteeing here that no
Oh my gosh.
individual now on Medicaid would see a cutoff?
It's like
because
Woody
of the
Allen's
cost?
boring
I'll
brother.
check back on that and get back to you. John.
Thanks a lot, Caroline. As you know, in the first week that the president was in office, signed an executive order as it relates to birthright citizenship, trying to eliminate that. Now, 22 state attorney generals have said that this is unconstitutional. A federal judge has just agreed with their argument. What's the administration's argument for doing away with birthright citizenship?
The folks that you mentioned have a right to have that legal opinion, but it is in disagreement with the legal opinion of this administration. This administration believes that birthright citizenship is unconstitutional, and that is why President Trump signed that executive order. Illegal immigrants who come to this country and have a child are not subject to the laws of this jurisdiction.
Boom.
That's the opinion of this administration. We have already appealed the lawsuit that was filed against this administration, and we are prepared to fight this all the way to the Supreme Court if we have to, because President Trump believes that this is a necessary step to secure our nation's borders.
I love that because it makes sense. Look, the Constitution doesn't protect Australians. It doesn't protect people in North Korea. It doesn't make sense. The 14th Amendment is for Americans. You know what I mean? It's like, what the hell why would some random person from like Colombia come here and give birth? Why would they get the protections of the Constitution? They're not American. You know what I mean? So like, why would the 14th Amendment have anything to do with them? It was created to make sure that the children of slaves were citizens. That's what it was for. And then later on was amended so that Native Americans and I think Puerto Ricans or something, because that's like it's not America. I don't know. Puerto Rico's kind of a weird situation, right? But it doesn't apply to those people. It's so silly.
And protect our homeland.
On foreign policy, Caroline, on foreign policy, if I may, the president's commitment to the NATO Defense Alliance, is it as strong as the prior administration? Is it the same as when he served as president in his first term in office?
As long as NATO pays their fair share, and President Trump has called on NATO allies to increase their defense spending to 5%. You actually saw the head of NATO
pay your dues.
At Davos last week on Bloomberg television saying that President Trump is right, and if Europe wants to keep itself safe, they should increase their defense spending.
Boom.
I would just add that
I walk around when I go to the grocery store and I just say the UN should pay its dues. No, I'm just kidding. I don't.
There was no greater ally to our European allies than President Trump in his first term. The world for all nations in Europe and, of course, here at home was much safer because of President Trump's peace through strength diplomatic approach. Monica.
Thank you.
It's so true. X-Ray Girl Raid. What's up? What's up, X-Ray Girl fans? What is going on, everybody? And then I walk out without paying. What am I, a Democrat? Come on. Get out of here with that. Welcome in, everybody. We're just we're watching the press secretary briefing. It's fantastic. She kicks ass. She really does. She's fantastic.
Thank you, Caroline. And it's great to finally be called on as well in the briefing room. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Of course, we know President Trump just got back from North Carolina and California meeting with victims of natural disasters. There's the 2-year anniversary of the East Palestine, Ohio toxic train derailment. Does the president have any plans to go visit the victims of that toxic spill or just visit in general?
No plans that I can read out for you here. If that changes, I will certainly keep you posted. What I can tell you is that President Trump still talks about his visit to East Palestine, Ohio. That was one of the turning points, I would say, in the previous election campaign, where Americans were reminded that President Trump is a man of the people, and he,
Biden
as a candidate, visited that town that was just derailed by the train derailment.
Wait, did Biden even go? Did Biden ever actually even go? I don't think he did. He didn't, did he? I don't know. I'm not sure.
No pun intended. And he offered support and hope, just like I saw the president do this past week. It was a purposeful decision by this president on his first domestic trip to go to North Carolina and to California to visit with Americans who were impacted by Hurricane Helene and also by the deadly fires. A red state and a blue state, both of which feel forgotten by the previous administration and the federal government. That is now ended under President Trump. He will continue to put Americans first, whether they're in East Palestine, in Pacific Palisades, or in North Carolina.
Yep, I love that.
Thank you, Caroline. On California, could you please clarify what the military did with the water last night as referenced in the president's Truth Social post?
The water has been turned back on in California, and this comes just days after President Trump visited Pacific Palisades, and as you all saw, applied tremendous pressure on state and local officials in Pacific Palisades, including Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass, to turn on the water and to direct that water to places in the south and in the middle of the state that have been incredibly dry, which has led to the expansion, the rapid expansion of these fires.
So could you clarify what the military's role was, where the water came from, and how it got there?
Again, the Army Corps of Engineers has been on the ground in California.
Always there. The
To
government in California
respond to
sucks
the devastation
dick.
from these wildfires. And I would point out that just days after President Trump visited
I think they wanted
the
that
devastation from
fire.
these fires, the water was turned on. That is because of the pressure campaign he put on state and local officials there who clearly lack
think
all
the
common
government
sense.
wanted
And
it
I
to
will
happen.
never forget
The California
being at that
government.
roundtable with the president last
Same
week
with Maui.
and hearing the frustration in the voices of Pacific Palisades residents who feel as though their government has just gone insane. Before President Trump showed up on the scene, Karen Bass was telling private property owners that they would have to wait 18 months to access their private property. So this administration, the president and his team that's on the ground in California, Rick Grinnell, who he has designated to oversee this great crisis, it will continue to put pressure on Karen Bass and state and local officials to allow residents to access their properties. This is a huge part of it. These residents want to take part in their own clearing out of their properties. They should be able to do that. It's the United States of America. What happened to our freedom? Clearly it's gone in California, but not anymore under President Trump. April.
Caroline, welcome to the briefing room.
Thank you.
Several questions. One on the pause. Will minority-serving institutions, preferably colleges and universities, have those monies held back temporarily?
I don't even like that phrase. Minority. What was it?
Preferably colleges and will minority-serving institutions?
Minority-serving institutions. What the hell is that? And why is that even a thing? I cannot stand that phrase. Code for DEI? Yeah, exactly. No. I hope they get defunded.
Preferably colleges and universities.
Colleges and universities? What do you mean? The people that get a break because of their skin color? Is that what you're talking about? Fuck whatever this is about.
Have those monies held back temporarily at this moment?
Again, I have
hope
not
so.
seen the entire list because this memo was just sent out. So I will provide you all with updates as we receive them, okay?
Also, secondly, when it comes to immigration, there is this southern border focus. What happens to those who've overstayed their visas? That is part of the broken immigration system. In 2023, there was a report by the Biden administration, the Homeland Security Department, that said overstays of visas were 3 times more than usual. Will there be a focus on the overstays for visas as well?
If an individual is overstaying their visa, they are therefore an illegal immigrant residing in this country and they are subject to deportation.
And also
Yes.
lastly, as we're dealing with anti-DEI, anti-woke efforts, we understand this administration is thinking about celebrating Black History Month. Have you got any word on that? Anything that you can offer to us?
As far as I know, this White House certainly still intends to celebrate, and we will continue to celebrate American history and the contributions that all Americans, regardless of race, religion, or creed, have made to our great country, and America is back. Christian Day Talk.
Thanks,
America's
Caroline.
back, baby.
Just real quick, you mentioned the inflation executive order the president signed, but egg prices have skyrocketed since President Trump took office. So what specifically is he doing to lower those costs for Americans?
Really glad you brought this up because there is a lot of reporting out there that is putting the onus on this White House for the increased cost of eggs. I would like to point out to each and every one of you that in 2024, when Joe Biden was in the Oval Office or upstairs in the residence sleeping, I'm not so sure, egg prices increased 65% in this country. We also have seen the cost of everything, not just eggs. Bacon, groceries, gasoline have increased because of the inflationary policies of the last administration. As far as the egg shortage, what's also contributing to that is that the Biden administration and the Department of Agriculture directed the mass killing of more than 100 million chickens, which has led to a lack of chicken supply in this country, therefore a lack of egg supply, which is leading to the shortage. So I will leave you with this point. This is an example of why it's so incredibly important that the Senate moves swiftly to confirm all of President Trump's nominees, including his nominee for the United States Department of Agriculture, Brooke Rollins, who is already speaking with Kevin Hassett, who's leading the economic team here at the White House, on how we can address the egg shortage in this country. As for costs, I laid out the plethora of ways that President Trump has addressed saving costs for the American people over the past week. He looks forward to continuing to doing that in the days ahead. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you soon.
Are Medicaid portals down in all 50 states?
Oh my God, these people throwing random questions out. So rude. Caroline Levitt. She was impressive. She did not let him trip her up. She shut him down. She smacked them back. She used their own words against them. That was a master class. She's 27. Incredible. Very, very well done. She kicked ass. Good shit. Hell yeah. Very satisfying to have someone in that position answering questions. Just incredible. Isn't Sweden not in NATO? Dude, they just joined last year. I'm so pissed that they did. Sweden was neutral for, I don't remember, like forever, basically, whatever. I mean, they just sold weapons to both sides. They make a lot of submarines here. I'm so annoyed that they joined NATO. It's so stupid. Can't believe they did that. Anyway, what's up, chat? How satisfying was that? It's pretty good, right? It's pretty good. I thoroughly enjoyed that. Arm Slave for 10 says, one of the few times even I don't believe Trump's government either, as why couldn't Dementia and Chiefs DOJ just come out and say we were running night tests at the end, but no, they just said don't know. You're talking about the drones, right? Because I thought that was stupid. It's just like, you shouldn't have said, like, Trump didn't even need to say anything. Like, what was the point? Oh, by the way, make sure you announce right at the beginning that, oh, the FAA approved what it was. You didn't tell us what it was, though. You just said that it was approved by the FAA. Well, what the hell was it, though? Huh? I don't believe it. I don't trust it. Now I question the legitimacy of what you're talking about. It just made me distrust it. V6 Neon for one says, or maybe the CIA wanted to control countries, so by making them dependent on drugs and the illegality of them, totally dependent on CIA control. Iran, late 70s, ring a bell. I don't know anything about Iran in the late 70s, so my database of world history is slowly growing further back in time because I really just didn't pay attention, right? I think I 2020, I started paying attention to politics. So from 2020 on, I'm aware of what went down. Then I slowly started learning about Obama, learning about Bush, learning about Clinton, and then the Bilderbergs, and then like Rockefellers, Jekyll's Island. Like I just, I'm slowly building up my understanding of how the American government has gotten as bad as it's gotten. Holly Movie Star for 2 says, just hope we are not rushing into building our demise. Talking about AI, obviously. I agree. I know AI is some parts of me thinks that maybe we need to just not use AI at all. I am from an era where we didn't have smartphones. There was no such thing as cell phones when I was growing up. I mean, they slowly became a thing, but it was like the big, huge, giant thing. Remember that big old thing? That had the big battery in the back with the big freaking long black antenna. It's wild, but those were good times, right? People actually had to meet up to communicate. They had to go have a community somewhere, right? Malls were a place to hang out as well instead of just loot, Ryan Hinder, for one, says the U.S. government just spent under $1 million in today's money for studying the connection between cocaine and risky sex habits of the Japanese quail. Right. Yeah. There was Rand Paul. Rand Paul. Once a year, he does this like crazy government spending something, where he calls out the government for spending stupid shit. That's where I learned about that, actually. B69 for one says, now putting it so that everything under LGB is a mental disorder or fetish, which should be an immediate padded cell sentence. Good on Trump kicking trans out of armed forces. Reminder, I'm gay. Right, I know that. I feel like the LGB should have been divorcing anything after that a long time ago. And in fact, there is a large group of that three-letter agency that has wanted that for a long time, because they know that it was co-opted by this trans, queer, mentally psychotic side of it, right? They just lumping themselves in there to use it as like a victim card, So V6 Neon for one, regarding DeepSeek, try doing a search on what happened in 1989 in Tiananmen Square. I bet it rejects it along with anything that questions communism. That's a good question, but I will not be downloading DeepSeek. I'm good. I'm fine. I don't really use AI often, and when I do, I just use Grok because I have access to it very easy. So, Eric Dale for $20. Thank you, Eric Dale. How are you today? The first week of Trump's administration is working out beautifully. Here's $20 to fund condoms in Gaza. Thank you. Thank you. I will do that. I will buy some condoms and send them to Gaza for you. B6 Neon for one says, placeholder babies so that parents and other family members can get a foothold. It's something UK has imported from the US. Oh, wow, that sucks. Well, hopefully I really do hope that Britain gets its act together, because it seems like Britain's going downhill. Holly Movie Star for two says, China builds cheaply because of IP theft they commit. No lies detected. Peyton Johnson for $10. Peyton, how you doing? Says Adam fucking Crigler. What's up, homie? How you doing, Peyton? Good to see you, buddy. Good to have you here. Let's see. Scott Sherrington became a new member. We got a new member. Scott, thank you very much. Welcome to the Adams family. Appreciate you. Carnell for 10 says, Adam, is it the only way a person truly to meet? Oh my gosh. Is it the only way a person to truly maintain discernment between what we see as reality versus AGI is to continuously engage with AI? And if so, aren't we just the architects of our own demise? The only way to truly maintain discernment between what we see as reality or versus AI is to continuously engage with it. So, because we have to engage with it so we know what to look for, or I don't know, man. That's a good question and a tough question, because Running Man, Total Recall, what other things? Those movies were based on wrongly incriminating people with altered. I mean, it was not necessarily AI, but digitally altered camera. And they're like, we got you on film, and it's like, that's not me, but it's like, we got you on film though. Like, what are we gonna do? How do we discern between AI that's so good that it looks real and reality if there is no difference? And it's like, if we get to that point, then it'll be video evidence will be akin to like witness testimony. It has a place in court, but it's not the end all be all for as far as evidence goes. You know what I mean? And that's tough. It's a tough world, man. I mean, we're heading that way, obviously, right? Logan Miller became a member and then dropped 10 Crigler Show memberships. Logan Miller, you. I appreciate you a lot. I do. Thank you. That is freaking badass. If you did get a gifted membership to the channel, please drop some UFOs in chat. If you are a member, you can drop some UFOs. I also got a couple other members from the base staff crew that are in there. You got lighters for my jam night. It was a lot of fun. Thank you, Logan. I appreciate you, mate. How you doing tonight? Are you just getting in? Did you watch the press secretary kick ass? She was freaking awesome, man. She just freaking awesome. Hell yeah. I wish I had money like that. Well, I do too, Benjamin. I wish you had money like that. And you know what? You will. Because Trump's going to make America great again. And everyone's going to be feeling good. Their bank account's going to feel better. I just feel the world is healing right now. When your membership comes freely, it's wonderful. Kevin, shout out to Kevin who's changing the lyrics to one of my songs to fit the feeling of a free membership. I love that. I see what you did there, Kevin, and I appreciate you. I like that. I want to see how she does on day 2. Yeah, I mean, you could clearly see she was very prepared for today. But I really enjoyed Kylie McEnany. She was awesome. She was fantastic. She had that massive binder. So basically she was prepared for legitimately anything. And you could see that she had some papers and she knew what people were going to be talking about. Obviously, week 1, she had 1 week of things that he's done that, she knew everything that they were going to talk about and was prepared for it. So Logan wants her number. I know I saw a lot of people telling me or saying that she was cute. She is pretty cute. Yeah, I'm glad we've got someone who, who's but you gotta understand though, based and articulate and common sense and wit, those things make people more attractive, right? When you have those things and you're cute, you will go far in life. It's kind of how it goes. Adam is new media. Ooh, I love that. Yes, I am. Ashley Hayden, thank you so much for everything you do. I just want to shout out to Ashley Hayden. Shout out to the rest of the mods. Carnell, King, Squiggles, Nuclear. You guys are awesome. I really appreciate all of you guys, all the mods in chat. And I love the haters, too, that come in and try to ridicule me for talking about America stuff. As an American, yeah, sure, I live in Sweden, but that doesn't mean I'm not American anymore or care about a strong America. I don't understand why that's so difficult to understand. Like, and how is it grifting if I truly care? You know what I mean? You think I talk about America being strong because I'm grifting? You think I don't care about America? If that's truly what you think, you're a fucking idiot. I hope you're still here listening. I put you in timeout because I don't want you to be banned from my chat, but I hope you're still listening. Because if you truly think that I don't care about a strong America, you are truly a fucking retard. Okay? You have to be stupid to think that I don't care. Or that I'm trying to grift off of Trump. You think 5 years ago I got decimated on YouTube because of my love of Trump. And because I'm talking about his shit in office again, I'm suddenly grifting. You are such a fucking idiot. Holy shit. What a fucking dumbass. I hope you're still here. What an idiot. Yeah, I don't care about America. It's all a grift, guys. Oh, wow. I can't wait to end my stream so I can take this flag down. I put it up every time I go live just because I want people to think that I still love America. It's so stupid. I don't have any patience for that. It's at the end of the stream, so I had to say a little something. It's okay they were not there 4 years ago. Yes, they were, Diana. That's the funny thing. They were. Yes, they were. Oh, yeah, the MAGA hat. That's true. Yeah. I got called a Klan member because of that beanie from a bunch of people I went to high school with. Anyway, all they do is cope and seethe. You're right, Benjamin. Everyone, thank you very much for your support. I really appreciate you all. You are awesome. I love the show. I love you guys. I love your support. It feels really good. I really do appreciate you all. I'll be back, of course, tomorrow. I'm going to be on Bro Science again, so check that out over on Fear the Beardos channel. We have a lot of fun. We talk about, I don't know, being chads, being bros, and it's a lot of fun. So, Sasquatch, hey, I'll see you Sunday. Forbidden Frontier. It's a lot of fun. All right, guys. Y'all have a wonderful night. I'll see you next time. Peace.